So you mentioned that you've been fasting for 3 days now, and certain types of sleep patterns are actually, I guess in you they showed up kind of along with your, whatever you want to call it, opening up.
Practice. Yeah, along with the practice. Yeah, I got to like no more than 2 hours of rest a day. Okay. And then when you look at it from the point of view of practice, right, and that means relaxation. It means conscious stresslessness, right, getting away from allowing yourself to be a stress bag. Well, we want to balance that out with stresslessness, right? Training or release, right? Psychic release. So you're not being the problem everybody else is unconsciously being. Not everybody, but many others are, to be fair. Yeah. So when you are living more, we're not talking about lack of work, because few people can keep up with what it is that's happening here. It's a burnout. Service. So then it becomes a matter of what are you doing? What's your way of life? Not just whether I'm fasting for a few days at a time or whatever. See, to cleanse the body, to give the body a break, give it a little bit of rest, see, from food. And that's part of it, yeah. But your attitude and your view. See, in the beginning it's about the view. That is, if you're suffering and neurotic and not doing what you know you need to do, at a certain expectation that you have of productivity, that you more or less hold yourself to as an ideal, or maybe as a result you hope to attain in the future for yourself. All of this has to do with how you're breathing. So we're talking about how are you breathing? How are you breathing today? Just like that. See, how are you breathing? See? Mm-hmm. Or how are you being breathed today? See, how is it breathing you? How is the karma of stress breathing you today? See? Or how are you releasing the karma of stress? Through your breath consciousness, through conscious release. Yeah? We can say it's an esoteric technique for some people. No, it's common sense. This is gymnasium stuff. Relax. There's nothing about the monastery in it. It's local, down the street, like 44th Street and 7th Avenue. Yes, sit down and relax, basically. Not even the gym, right here. Sit down and relax for a minute. See what you're doing, see what you're saying. Sit down and relax. Relax. Be aware of it. Some would say, oh, that's Buddhist. That's mindfulness. Oh, wait a minute. This is a corruption here. Religious corruption. No, it's not. It's breathing. It's physics. Forget about religious anything. It's physics. So, right? Mind physics. Brain physics. Alpha wave knowledge. See, it's physics. Brain activity physics. Relax, man. Chill your brain. Give your brain a peace of mind. Right? Give your brain some peace of mind, because you don't want any. Your brain needs it. Your heart needs some peace of mind. See? So that's very high on the scale of things. It has nothing to do with the theory. It's breathing. Basically, I guess you might say, on the way, it's a long journey to abiding. Abidance. See? And if you don't ask about it, you might never know I might have something to say about it. See? That could be useful. See, and confirming of a universal and very impersonal mode of behavior. See? Or exercise, method, practice, technique, solution.
So, is part of the practice trying to Is part of the practice fostering any of these specific attributes that seem to show up, or do they really just show up along with something else?
What are the attributes you're talking about? Like when you're practicing, you need less sleep?
Yeah.
That kind of equation?
Yeah, like pushing.
It depends
your sleep
on what you're
boundaries.
practicing, of course. Depends on what you're practicing. It depends on how you are exhausting yourself. Right. I know for a fact, for me, not for you, for me, so to speak, for this body here, breathing and sexual energy transformation or sublimation works. That's it. Just works. I wouldn't have it any other way. I could be different about it if I needed to. I have the capacity. But left to itself, why change it? Why fix it? It's nothing broken. Okay. So then it depends on what you're doing to maintain your energy flows, your psychic forces, okay, your mental forces, your emotional forces, your astral forces, right? And your physical forces. And how you want to align yourself with, let's say now, the concept of stillness. But there's no such thing, but the body's still. And it looks like stillness. And the idea, of course, as a basis for many of these traditions, these therapies and New Age, self-help practices, stop the body, rest, right? Settle the emotions out, stop feeling, or indulging your feelings and making yourself more important than your healing in the moment. Try to trim the memories down, which are also fueling all of the neuroses, right? Habit patterns. None of this is new. This is the same old junk. See? And then the mental. See? To include the unconscious. So you have the mental, what you tend to think and what you need to be thinking about, and what's always already streaming into your consciousness. See? And then you have the unconscious, reactive. All of these have to be recognized first as operational and present all the time. And what we're talking about, different dimensions of consciousness, the chakra systems representing different dimensions of consciousness, different frequencies of consciousness, different colors and different sounds of consciousness, all of that part of this. And you want to start moving more towards the whole thing itself, say, and not be tortured by the lack of discipline that you're living from. The lack of regarding properly your interdimensionalities and how they, in one way or other, as many, might need some repair and attention. Right? They might be screaming out, "Fix me! Don't forget me!" Right? Because you imagine you don't have any interdimensionality because your work and your consciousness or your karma don't allow for that stream of intelligence or possibility. Now my ego says, there's no such thing as interdimensionality. I've never seen it. No such thing. It's bunk. It's more of that spiritual nonsense. Right? You cut off like 70% of your consciousness. Your potential consciousness is just killed off by that. Going into your own self-created hell of who cares, right? The hell of who cares. Well, you should care, right? You're suffering, right? Right? You're the one in question. You're questioning why anything's happening to you. See? Why isn't it happening differently for you? And so on. So you care. You have to come to peace. Not anybody else. Doesn't matter about what anybody else is doing. You can't make everybody else's business your business. Sizing up everybody else as if that's important. Who cares about that? You don't see anybody here being concerned about anybody there. Right? It doesn't show up. Coming. What shows up continually for every time you've been here is, what are you doing to minimize your suffering and maximize your creative product? That's simple. And there's no money involved in that, because I have no money issues. See? That's covered. That's taken care of. This is what my Aunt Gracie was trying to drill into my head when I was young. She says, no, mijo, honey, you have to let others work with you and for you, because you don't know it, but you are working for them. You don't want to admit it, but you are working for them. I'm not working for them, I'm working for me. Then that blew out, and then I realized the me there was really working for everybody, actually. Because what we want is more knowledge that is applicable to us as individuals, so we can settle down and produce more. See? Creative productivity. That's what it is for the people who approach me. Right? Artists, philosophers, Buddhists, many. Right? That's only because it deals with the mind. It's not Buddhism as a religion. It's Buddhism as a mind science. See? Right? Controlling your mind, discipline, focus, see? Awareness, all of these things. In that way, I'm not particularly any kind of Buddhist. See? That's just something I knew I had to handle from the beginning. See? So that doesn't make me a Buddhist, see? Or make a native a Buddhist, per se. Buddhism is a whole other thing. See? It's transcending everything, as well as the purpose of transcending anything is to be okay with everything. Right? You come into something called a Buddha nature, right? There's no Buddha, right? There's no bread and Buddha here, right? But there's the need to open up your consciousness, which is getting back to the point, yoga, right? Communion. Can you be neurosis-free long enough to enter and experience your own communion? I think that's a question for you. When you leave here, after you do your little video thing. And you go back to your neuroses and all your neurotic friends, right? And there are tons of neuroses, because that's what keeps you all going, right? Just hate to put it to you that way, friend. Just BS, right? The BS. Too much BS, the same BS. It's not even new BS. It's the same BS, because nobody wants to do anything about it. So you're just in this mud. Mud pool. That's it. And you all come together in the mud pool to throw mud at each other in your conversations. Right? Muck. Right? Yeah. That's why I'm giving you a fair reading here. A fair hearing. But that's also the sad truth, is that that's too much what it is out here. And people glamorize it, and they glorify it. Hanging out with tripping and BS, bull, baloney. And that's their reality. No problem, it's great. Society is all about that. Let it be. Now, what about you, the individual? That's why you're here. There's still a little bit of the individual in you enough to come here. And hear from an isolated individual, reclusive individual. See, what are the basics of simplicity? Or it's not questioned as such, but you say, how do you do what you do anyway? How do you be what you are? That's what you say. I'm not being what I am. It is being what it is. Brings us to another point. Much exchanged in the company of the masters, let's say, which most people don't have a clue as to what that is. And they say, you have to turn it over to spirit. Sounds simple. It's like, is that it? Just turn it over to spirit? Like my laundry to the laundryman. All right? Just like that? For dry cleaning? Turn it over to him and it comes back, perfect? Yeah. Exactly. Who's the laundryman? We're not talking about the middleman now, right? We already killed the middleman. See, so there's no middleman. So now we replace the middleman with the laundryman. Yeah, who's going to clean up your stuff? See? Who's going to clean you up? See? Right? That's what we're talking about. Who and what is that? So, that's what the process is, a cleansing process. Purificational process is a cleansing process. Cleansing the mind and the intelligence of all the stuff that just gunks it to dysfunction, or just minimal functioning. Who but the individual should know what it is that they need in their case? It's not about the middle person. There's nobody standing between you and it, so there's no thing as a middle person. But do you need help out here for real? Yeah. Do you need mature people? Do you need experts? Yeah, you do. Do you need guides? Big time. You need somebody to show you who made the maps, all the maps, the outer maps, the world maps, right? And all the surveillance that's being done to find out more about the planet. Yeah, do you need that? Or, unless it all comes to you like that, yeah, you're going to need that. So this idea that the boogeyman as the middleman or the so-called guru, right? I mean, what they're talking about are just shysters. That's all. Talking about those people who are fake, in a manner of speaking. So, who are magicians, maybe, at best. No, it's not about that. The music's not about that. It's about hard work. Okay? And working from the inside out. And that's what the guide is supposed to do for you. As I come from the tradition of guides. They help you to find that you have an inner. Okay? Yeah, and that way you can go to the Christian dogma of it and say, yeah, the kingdom is within you. But it's your problem finding it. So you need an education to find out what that kingdom could be for you. And then you want to pursue that. Okay? Well, the kingdom is within. It's been said by more than one person in history. Because there's been many more people who understand the fact of that. And we're talking about the fact of it. And when that kingdom is accessed, then we're seeing a different kind of expression on the face of the person. Okay? When you have access to that kingdom, you have access to true wealth. When you're no longer a poor person, even if you're not making any money, you have more wealth than the billionaires and the trillionaires. You have light, you have peace, you have joy, you have a sense of equality, you have a sense of awe at the same time, wonder, you have a sense of the universe, and peace that comes with that understanding. What more can you have of value than peace of mind? From that you can create anything. From that you can go anywhere. See? In your own intelligence. See? And that's what I learned when I was back there in the days with the Eckankar people. Through a process that is called today as remote viewing. See? Or soul travel, as it was called. You could be in more places than one, but that's an exercise of the mind. It's got nothing to do with a guruship. See? You can read a book and find out about that yourself. Or you can have, as in my case, come from experience. When people who are in and out of the body, it's a matter of fact. Yeah. No big deal. You can talk about your in and out of body experiences like they're nothing. Or not talk about it at all, because if you're around the wrong crowd, they're going to say you're a wacko. It's like seeing aliens. So you become stigmatized as a wacko because you're more sensitive than the other people. You see more, you hear more, you know more, you feel more than the ordinary shut down person, and so on. Come on. Open up. So turning it over to spirit is no easy doing. You got to know what spirit is, in a sense. You have to know what its function is, and what is meant by that. It's very occult, esoteric, or maybe secret language. Turning it over to spirit. Say. So that implies that what is it that you need to do to get to the point where you could turn over what to spirit? Say. What is that spirit you need to turn it over to? Say. Why would you want to turn it over to spirit if it's yours, right? Hey, why would spirit want it if it's really yours? Well, to be fair. So, in other words, at a level of training, or just experiencing life, because you may be a mountain climber and be going through these stages as you climb up the mountain, and realizing the same thing yourself, that at some point you can't go any further yourself. You can't, but you know you have to. And so in some cases you enter, or they enter, a moment of prayer. Wow. Well, they go. And they're not even calling it prayer. They're talking to themselves. I got to do this, but I can't do it. My legs are gone. My arms are gone. It's freezing out here. And I can see the summit from here. But there's no way. Right? And the wind is beating down on me. The snow's beating down. There's no way I can do this. Right? What? So-called. No way. Next person, same place, on the mountain, right? Right next to the same person having that other mindset. And it says to itself, when you're ready, you will take me up. I have no doubt about it. I'm not able to do it now, but when you're ready, because I'm ready when you are. I've gone as far as I can go now. It's up to you. And I know you're in there. I know you're here with me. See? I'm talking about faith. There's no believing. Come in. Turning it over, right? It was just turned over. My body's gone. Now it's up to you. What's to you? I'll say it. You've exhausted your consciousness, right? But you haven't lost contact with superconsciousness. Superconsciousness. Super unconsciousness. The real being. The inner master, so-called. Superconscious. In everyone. It's not BS, it's not blah. The demonstrations by humans all over the world all the time They say, I don't know how I did that. I know I didn't do it. Something did it. I know it wasn't me. That's the truth. Right? Give them a lie detector test and you'll see it's 100% correct. They didn't do it. Well, then who and what did it? Say, what is it? Say, it's called a spirit. So nobody knows what it really is, but you say, no, spirit. You just have a certainty about it. Because we are part of that. Come on. So when you are evolve enough to a point where you know what it is that is turned over, given, surrendered to it, so be it. It's a paradox. It's also crazy wisdom. And the masters would say it's a fact of the process, but it has nothing to do with you, and yet you have to do it. It's up to you, but it has nothing to do with you. So when are you that exhausted? When is anyone that exhausted, see, to activate this super conscious circuitry? That's what practice is about. Finding resonance with that already.
Whether it's right now or whether it is over the course of my showing up here over the last few years. Coming here has changed like my baseline, my normal, my okayness. Particularly right now, what I'm experiencing is a kind of a distinct mental quiet.
I think the Buddhists call it shamatha, peacefulness. See? Certain kind of clearance, right? I also call it neutral energy. Not for or against anything. So that means no conflict. See? Abiding. It's allowed to abide for itself or as it is. That's a phrase used often. The as it isness of what it is. So you're in the, you might be tasting for yourself, being as it is. As peace. Okay. Clear. Everybody is that underneath all the self-crap and neurosis that implies. When you're calm and clear, you are just being calm and clear. It's not a religious thing. It's just natural breathing. We are by nature calm and clear beings. No doubt about that. We're not always in the karmic field of, let's say, conditions which allow us to be calm and clear. Particularly, we're in the world. The world is an opportunity to be calm and clear in the midst of all the changes. And we're talking about human madness at the same time. Not just earth madness, chaos. It's human madness on top of that. And it's chaos. It's ignorance and it's suffering. It's not knowing and not caring. It's like the who cares. Coldness, heartless, loveless, sort of norm of ignorant beings. It's fine for them. And numb. There's much more than that. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that the calm and clear is what do we call it? The ambition. No, we need to go beyond calm and clear. Calm and clear, shamatha is a step on the way. It's a step. Calm and clear then sets the stage for what I call hearing into silence. In sound, the in sound. The in sound. The in sound, or the in sound. The in sound. Say, watch. The in sound. The in sound. Form of breathing and hearing. It's not about the insight as such, it's about the in sound, in this case, which is as good as insight. If you can hear into clearness, then you can see into clearness. But you can hear things that you can't think about, you can't describe, you can't even see it because it's sound. But you can hear it and you can feel it. And that is intelligence. It's a higher form of knowing when you can't speak about it. So music then is a higher form of communication, above speech. It's a higher form of speech. If you can communicate at that level, of sound to sound, note to note, melody to melody, rhythm to rhythm, and harmony to harmony, then it's a pretty harmless domain there. To get to that domain, you've had to balance out certain things. But it doesn't say that musician is a higher being, no. Musician into music is not a higher being. The fair hearing then at that level is a musician, as a musician, is a subhuman being. And needs to bring his humanity up, despite his virtuosity, musically speaking. So often the high virtuosity doesn't mean high human. We have to understand that. And you have high humans that are not musicians. And yet they can vibe into and attune themselves to the highest forms of music that you can hear. So nobody pays me for this. You can't pay me for this and you can't follow this. You have to be into this yourself. That's how it should be. Free as the wind. See? Yeah. All of this is native, original, primordially established, understood by some. We can't say it's average. It's not average. We wish it were average and common sense. It's not. But if you can make it common sense for you, then it's becoming, let's say, common sense. And that's what we are hoping for. See? True common understanding of what is truly native in the pure sense. See? From the heart sense out.
Why in, I guess what you call higher systems, spiritual systems, does astrology play such an important part? Why is it such a common topic?
Or you mean something given sacred consideration? Why is it so sacred? Well, because we are basically time machines. And that's what astrology is the medium, see, for that. See, having a sense of the rulership of time over the material worlds. See, and people don't ordinarily think about that. See, and it's not that this is some kind of superior knowledge or anything. It's not. It's common knowledge, as far as I'm concerned. It's very common, basic. Right? Time mastery is what I call it. So you're here to master time. You're not here to be in time and a slave of time. No way. See this for real. Any of you that have intelligence that is worth anything, you're not here to be enslaved in time. We are. Because we're gravitationally materialized beings. So we're controlled by time and held down by gravity. Maybe there's no difference between the two. So it's the time of gravity, the gravity of time. See, we can think of it that way if we choose to. And so, yeah, of course, it's all about time. See, it's all about time. Lord is time here. Kal is time. It's a Sanskrit word for time. Kal is Lord. Lord over the material universes. See? And Ekankar was called Kal Naranjan, the dot of time, the point of time. And if it's so in Ekankar, it's in the sources of Ekankar, which go back to the east and the far east, and then into planetary, see? Otherworldly. So we need to know our time because your body is a time machine. Brain waves, the heart beats, right? It's all time, pulse, rhythm. See? Infinitely so. Infinite patterns, see, that keep us going, keep us up and healing, that keep us in disease. Time patterns, pulses. See? And we're talking about a certain alignment because the human body has got pretty much every pulse in the universe, actually. Once you study it properly, we can feel that. You can feel the rhythm. As I'm speaking, you can feel the rhythms right now in your own body that are almost discernible, but you know they're infinite. You can hear the waves of space and etheric energy, astral energy coming through your ears, through your head and both ears. Space. This is seeing into the etheric. These are the eyes of the etheric, world. We are sound beings, and that's what I have said in the beginning. I'm a soundian being. It's not any kind of revelation to a native. So it's not an ego trip, it's a description of fact. Nada Brahma. God is sound. Sound is source, in other words. It's not a guy. It's no guy. And there's no girl. See? There just is. Vibration. And that's what people are here to tune to. Cycles of vibration relative to certain planetary correspondences. And they're vibrating beings. See? They have their own vibrations. They don't have to be breathing the way we breathe. They're subject to vibratory laws that enable them to be integrated and hold together. See? Vibrational resonances. This matter can be formed, and this matter now can be deformed and disintegrated vibrationally. So we need to know vibrations and frequencies and cycles of time. We need to know that because we are born into it to be that, and so we are enslaved by that if we are ignorant and not conscious of our own time and time patterns that we create with our thoughts and our feelings and our actions. If we're that asleep, then you need to go to somebody who can help you out on that. Get you in alignment with your time. See, solar systemally. Some say it's astrology, and I say it is, but it isn't. See? It is, but it isn't, because astrology doesn't tell you to master any of it. But I do. See? You better master it, or you stay enslaved. You're on the wrong path. See? You're not on the path of mastery, you're on the path of slavery. You have a right to it. See? But some, unless they're told, will never know that they're in a casket that's actually unlocked. You can step out of this casket called Earth Time. Yeah? I recommend you do it. Space being. So if we can talk about the cosmos, or at least the solar system, or even the human body and the earth, what we have to study, it's all cosmic, rhythmic patterns and pulses. We're talking about the basis of music, which is verily that. Vibration. You have physical vibration, and you have emotional vibration, which is where most music has its highest function as healing, making you feel good, right? Making your body feel good, right? So that you're harmoniously in the body, as the body, and you're grooving to waves. Brain waves, sound waves, right? Musical waves, right? That artists are tuned into, and artists up to a certain level are responsible for bringing to you, the public, see. And thus they are healers. Right? They're also humongous, over-the-top egomaniacs, but they are healing egomaniacs. Right? They do a great service to people. Yeah. And we forgive them for their egomaniacism because they are bringing us healing, despite themselves, because of their love for music, or because of their debt to the emotional level of expression. And so that's what it is for them, to feel, okay, as a human, with the body or inside the body, and psychologically or psychically feel pain, suffering, and then have an urge to express it through music, through sound. Not just with the voice and speech, but sound, vibration, music, okay? Tone and pitch, harmony and rhythm, okay? Which are part of the earth. So we're saying it's music, but it's really earthness, okay? Earthality, okay? Earth sounds coming through us, earth beings, no mystery. Unfortunately, that's all it's about for most musicians. Classical music taking care of the darkness of intellectual ambitions. Okay. Structure, composition, and slavery. Structure and conformity. Okay. Worldliness, materialism, gravity, to perfection even. Wow. But there's more than that. There's much more than that. So go back to India, to the chakra system and levels of consciousness. Mm-hmm. That means those the psychic centers and key points of the body, so, including the genitals, right? And beneath that, and then the navel, and the heart, and the throat, and the forehead, and the crown. Right? As I've been calling it recently, it's like the shish kebab. Boom. You've been shish kebabbed. Mm-hmm. Right. Realigned from bottom to top, see? From earth to sun. Mm-hmm. 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 So who wants to know about any of this? Or this conversation? Who cares? You do. So, and you care enough to put it on tape, and I think that's a great service for the few people out there who would find this amusing. And others who would find it useful. So, because what is real here is real everywhere. See, every being has the essence of every being. See, every heart is the essence of every heart, see, so to speak. Every brain is the essence of every brain. See, in this and in every other galaxy, let us say, every other universe, see, and they would be as infinite relative to the imagination as anything else we would call infinite. See, gone beyond, which is the key now. See, gone beyond. See, the ability to go beyond. See, as a practice and as a realization. Huh? Already gone beyond. Always here, always gone beyond. Already gone beyond. See, but you're always here, and yet you're not here. See, that paradox. See, a key to the universe. Always here, but already gone. The heart is the universe, is the heart.